Hey gamers, today we're going to look at The Pursuit of Happiness and its expansion community. Let's check it out. Before I talk about setup, let me tell you that the game comes with these little helpful game aids that kind of help you determine what's going to happen through each phase, through upkeep, game end points, and they're very helpful. You pass one out to each player. Of course, each player is going to start with 6 timepieces of their color. There are 3 additional timepieces they can get in the game. They're also going to deal out some 4 projects on the board, some item activities here on the board. They're not going to deal out jobs and partners yet when they're in the first round, which is their teenage years. They're going to put these little blockers here on these 3 actions on the first round only. Then after that, they'll open them up. They're going to have their 2 stress markers right here on the blue with the triangle that says start there. So, well, it doesn't say start, but it'll show you where to start there on the stress marker. And they're going to start right there in the middle of their short-term happiness track. They also have 2 bigger blocks right here on the 0 score, and that's going to be the score trackers for the game. After that, then each player is going to, we're going to shuffle these child traits. We're going to pick 2 cards, and then each player is going to determine which one they want to keep. Do they want to be rich or do they want to be an achiever? Either way they pick them, it gives them a special ability in the game, and it tells them what resources you're starting with. Usually you don't start with money unless you're rich. That's the only person who would start with money. But it'll tell you what type of resources you can get. There's books, which is education, light bulb, which is creativity, and handshakes, which are basically social traits. And the game comes with these little tokens here and values of 1 and 5, including money, that will tell you, I mean, this is creativity, this is social skills, that's book knowledge, and these are coin here. So, and they come in values of 1 and 5, and you just give those out according to whatever starting trait that they picked. After that, you're going to shuffle this life goal deck, and you're going to deal out as many life goals as there are players in the game. And basically, these give you either in-game points or, you know, first one to raise a family gets 4 points. Or at the end of the game, whoever buys the most items gets 1 point per item, a max of 5. Basically gives you just a couple extra bonus points at the end of the game to add up. And you put that out the top of the board there for all players to see and any player to achieve. Now, how the game starts is you're going to basically, this is just worker placement. You're going to be placing out these timepieces around this board here and getting the certain rewards. So for instance, let me just show you the top 3. They're empty. They're easy to do. This one is study. This is, you can get 3 books. This one, play, gives you 3 creativity. Interact gives you 3 social skills, and temp job gives you 3 money. Very simple. The next one is spend here. If you want to spend, you can spend some of that hard-earned cash and grab you an item. Now, with these items, maybe I want a miniature collection. You can jump in anywhere you want, however much money you want to spend. And what you would do, whatever money, let's say I spent $4. You know, I want a wall of miniature figures. So I spend $4, and then I get this stuff. And the stars count as victory points. So I get 1 victory point for creativity and 2 knowledge. Now, what this green indicates, as you see, it's not here for this one, but it is here for the other ones. What this green indicates is at the end of, the beginning of every round, I have to spend an additional 2. I have to keep building up my miniature collection for the rest of my life if I want to. Or I can chunk this item. But if I spend 2 coins every round, I will get 2 creativity. This is a way to get additional resources in the game. Sure, you have to spend money, but hopefully you'll have a job by then to where you can afford this little hobby. And maybe you want to pay $6 later on and move this one up a little bit and start paying more, like 3 coins every round, for victory points. And of course, immediately when you move up, you get all these little things. You'd get an additional victory point as well. Now that's optional. You don't have to move up on these, but you start anywhere you want to when it comes to an item. And if it has green here, you just have to pay whatever resource it is and get the reward at the end of every round. Now, items are unlimited. You can have as many items as you can afford. Not true with taking a project. As you see, green lines up with green, blue lines up with the blue cards here. Projects, you can only have a maximum of 3 at one time. Of course, if you complete one, that'll allow you to pick up more. What do I mean by that? Well, unlike the items where you can jump in anywhere, on a project, you must jump in at the very top here. So let's say I want to pick up an instrument. Well, if I learn the basic scales, I have to pay 1 creativity, and I get 1 knowledge. And of course, you'd put one of these little black cubes on there to signify where you are. Now, after that, this acts as your own little worker place for you. So let's say this is on my board here. I could put a timepiece, instead of putting it on the board, I could put a timepiece on this card, pay the resources I need to complete it, and move it up again and get the points associated with it, or the rewards. For instance, if I was to move up to Simple Tunes, I would get a book and a victory point. Later on, maybe I put another timepiece on it, and I would get, I'd pay 2 creativity and get 2 points and 2 knowledge. Eventually, you may get up to Live Gig and complete the project, but as you see, time gig, you would have to pay an additional time. So for instance, because it takes a lot of time to put together a live gig, instead of putting 1 down on the card and doing this, I'd have to put 2 down and pay 3 creativity. But of course I get 2 coin and 5 points. Wow, that's really big. Now once it's completed, the project's completed, you'll flip it over and you'll keep it on your person just in case. Sometimes in-game goals say, hey, whoever had the most projects or whatever thing wins. You may just want to hold on to it, but you can complete it, and that would open up one of your 3 slots to work on more projects. Other projects that they have are these one-time projects. They have their notified by the 1. That means you can jump in anywhere. Just like one of the items, you can jump in anywhere you want and get the reward. So maybe I want to be an idiot or did my best or finalist or genius. I would have to pay those resources, but then I would get whatever reward that is. And it's just a one-time thing. It'll go away. This project you can take, and then you'll flip it over and complete it at the end of the round, because you're only on the game show just once. Now, if you see here, this one has a little smiley face, green here. Now, sometimes they have frowny faces too, but what do those mean? That means short-term happiness. Let's say I, went there, took this project, played 1 book. I was an idiot, but at least I had fun being on the game show. So for that, I would move my little yellow cube up 1 on the short-term happiness track. Now, the farther ahead it is, that's great, because that means it's less resources I have to pay when doing projects or paying for items maybe. But this one here says, let's say if I bought this one and already had 1 short-term happiness, I wouldn't even have to pay that book, because I already have a +1. This one I'd only have to pay 2 books if I wanted to do that. So it basically lowers anything down. This one I could pay 9 books and 2 creativity, or maybe 10 books and 1 creativity, because I have a short-term happiness. As you see, it can go all the way up to 3. Now, there are activities that do make you sad. One of them is working out. I love it. Working out, it makes you healthy, but boom, you'll lose some happiness. Now, that means, of course, you have to pay 1+. So for instance, if I want to be on this game show, I'd have to pay 2 books to be an idiot. Okay? Now, the good news is about the short-term happiness, at the end of every round, everyone resets to the norm again. So short-term happiness is only short-term. Long-term happiness, which is the stars, are something you'll keep forever. But anyway, that's the short-term happiness track. The other type of project here that they have is a group project. That means more than 1 person can play on it. You can play up to 2 different people here. This one's a music band. What you do is basically, when you take a project, you can put your pawn on one of these 4 spaces, pay those resources, and get those rewards. Now, at the end of the round, this project goes away. No one gets to keep it. It goes away. And if there was only 1 person that played on it, you would have 2 coins. Everyone would get 2 coins, or that 1 person would. If you had 2 people who played on this one, could be the same person, they get a point, or maybe 2 points if it was the same person. If there are 3 people who played on this, and 1 player can only play twice on one of these cards, but let's say 3 different colors played on this one, then they would each get a victory point. If all 4 got tied up, then each person who, participated in part of the music band would get 4 coins. So the more people, and this is only for that 1 round it's out, the more people that jump in on one of these little team projects, the more it could pay off in the short term here, and also the little bit longer term at the end. Now, at the end of every round, you're going to wipe the items and projects from the board and deal out 4 more. That's how it works. Now, after the first round, after your teenage years, you will move up into your adult years. And when that happens, everyone takes back their timepieces, short-term track is brought back down, and then you're going to remove these 3 additional spaces of where you can go. So let me tell you what they are. First one is working overtime. Working overtime will give you 2 additional timepieces. It lets you work a little bit more. But when you do that, there's a little black cloud there. That's called stress. I would move up 1, 2 in stress. This stress marker determines how many timepieces you will start every round with. Now, usually it's 6 if you stay in the blue. However, if I move up to yellow, it says -1. That means I have to get rid of one of my timepieces, and I can only use, instead of 6, 5, because I'm a little stressed out. And the more stressed out you are, the less actions you will have. Now, you can always go up on the track, but you never. Once you go into a new color, you may never go backwards. Let me show you some ways of what I mean. Let's say I didn't go to yellow. Let's say I went all the way to blue. I'm about to go to yellow. Oh man, if I stress out one more time, I'm gonna die. So what I do is I go to this rest area here. I put one of my time here and I just take a vacation. Boom, I go there. Whenever I do that, your stress level goes down by 2, as long as it's within the same color. So for instance, let's say I started there and I put a rest there. Could I go back 1, 2? No, you cannot. You have to stay within your color. The only way you can buck down to the next color scheme here, and as you see, the lower stress you are, that's how you can pick up additional timepieces. It says a +1 time, +2 time, and I've never seen anyone get here, but if you got there, you get +3 time, all your time back, which would be incredible. But anyway, how you get those hearts are on these projects. There are certain projects like jogging. It takes up a whole heck of a lot of time, but once you complete it, when it has the heart there, that means you can move your stress marker permanently, as long as you don't go past into the next color, down to the next level. So let's say I completed jogging, which I've actually done that one once, and I went down to the teal section. Well, now I start every round with not 6 time, but 7. So I can do a few more actions there. And if I somehow manage to do another one, I go down to the next grid, which is 2+, which I've done once the entire time I've ever played this game. But anyway, it's just a way that you can de-stress. Now remember, once you go up into the next level, the only way to go backwards is to get a heart. So that's stress there, and it does not reset at the end of every round. The other things you have, you can get a job. Now I should mention these job cards are double-sided. They have the same requirements on them, but they just give you a different type of job. If you don't want to be a programmer and you want to be a biologist instead, you can. So because of that, they have these little cover cards for this and the relationship cards, because they're double-sided too. So you deal them from the bottom, and this is after the first round here, and so you deal out 4 of these. And now if you pick to get a job, you can get a job here. Maybe I want to be a choreographer. What I'd have to do is I'd have to pay 3 creativity, 1 social relationship, and I would get $6. Now remember, just like our items here where I talked about upkeep is over here, upkeep is also here as well for your job. That means at the beginning of every round thereafter, you have to pay one of your timepieces, because holding down a job is going to take away some of your free time, of course. And then you also have to pay 1 creativity. I have to pay 1 social, but what do I get for it? I get my salary, $6. And as long as you keep doing that, you're going to get your $6. Now, this is a level 1 job. If I want to move up to a level 2 job, and you'll see in the deck later on, there are level 2 jobs here, L2. There's even a level 3 job if you make it up that high. But to grab a higher job, get that promotion, you have to pay this amount. Once you pay this amount, now you can get a level 2 job. You'll get 3 coin and 3 victory points just for being promoted. So that's how you can get promoted to the next phase. Of course, you do have to always put your pawn there to grab another job. Now, if you want to quit your job, just quit it and grab another one later on and get a new job, you may do so. There's no penalty for quitting your job. All right, so that's how jobs work there. And the last thing you can do is you can start a relationship. Let me bring out some of these relationship cards. Again, you would deal from the bottom. And these are double-sided cards, so there are 2. So maybe there's Kayleen and there's Glenn, you know. And so you can just flip it over if you want guys on there, or flip it over if you want girls on there, whatever you want there. And with these, what you do is you go in a relationship and you would just grab one of these, and then of course you put your little black marker right here on it to show that you are dating. Dating costs you nothing, you have to pay anything, and you get a short-term benefit. Now, if you ever want to move that cube up and start making this a relationship, every girl here or guy have, and it's the same requirements on each back of the card, they have something that you have to have on you. You don't have to pay it, you just have to have it on your person. So for instance, she likes very creative people, so you must always carry 5 of these light bulbs in your personal supply, because she likes creative people, and that's what she wants. As long as you have that, you can stay in that relationship. Now, what's it going to cost you if you move up? Well, that means every round you'll have to pay time, because being in a relationship costs you time. So you'll lose a time, but you will automatically get short-term happiness, and all of these give you short-term happiness. And they'll give you some base rewards, as you see here, just depending on who you date. So you'll always get some, this is just an extra way to get extra bonus rewards. Plus, the first time you move into a relationship, you'll be rewarded with some of that as well. Now, if you want to take it one step further and lock it in, raise that family, settle down with her, well, now it's going to cost you 2 time, because raising a family takes a lot of time out of your schedule. So you have to spend 2 time every round, but it pays off big time, because once you move up, you have to have at least 8 creativity. You don't have to spend that. You just have to have habit. You get 2 victory points at the very beginning, and then after that, every round you could get 4 victory points. It's a great way to get victory points, even though it is time consuming. The funny thing about this game is you can have more than one relationship. Oh yeah, man, if I want to be dating Sherry and Martha at the same time, yay, I can. Play, I gotta play. But haters are gonna hate here, and that's gonna be stressful. And it says if that happens, you're gonna move your stress marker up 1 if you're dating 2 people. Because of course having multiple dating can be very stressful. So I like that, I thought that was funny. Anyway, let me talk about this when worker placement. Now no one can ever block you out. So if red was already there, I could put one there. And you can even play on the same spot again if you wanted to. But if ever you did that, and I wouldn't take 2 jobs, let's say I wanted to take another project. Now, just because red was there doesn't matter, but if I put another pawn there, yellow had already been there. If I do that, I go up 1 stress. So I'd go up another stress there. So maybe I need to put one in the rest area to make sure I go back down to avoid stressing out too much. But whenever you go into any of these actions a second time, doesn't matter how many other players are in there, if you went in there a second time, you'll go up 1 stress. At the end of every round, of course, you're going to be resetting the short-term happiness, replacing these cards, moving the tracker up until you get to old age. And in old age, if you can see it there, it has some stress, because as you get older, you get more and more stress there, as you see. And so you'll be moving up these markers, the stress level 3, 6, and 9. You're probably going to, if you don't die here, you're definitely going to die there possibly. And so as the stress markers go, as you get older, when you're in your whatever 60s or whatever, you would go 1, 2, 3. Oh no, that's 1 less time. He would go 1, 2, 3. Oh no, I lost a time too because I don't have that +1 anymore. Let's say the next round goes. Then we got to go to 6. He goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, he dies. So red's out of the game, and yellow goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, I start with only 4 timepieces, but at least I made it a little bit longer. Now, and when I get to the old age and have to move up 9, that last one, you're probably going to die by the time you get there. But hey, maybe you were super healthy on the track and you stayed open. Well, then you would get to play out 1 more round. Now, eventually, what's going to happen, of course, is everyone's going to die. Sorry, spoiler alert. Now, at the end of that, what you're going to do is you're going to add up any remaining points, meaning some of these life goal points that you had. Any additional points that you have on your cards, you may finish them out. And for every 5 of the same resource that you have, this is called inheritance. For every 5 of each one of these, has to be the same resource, can't be in multiple of these, but you get 1 victory point. So this would give me 4 victory points because I have 5 money, 5 creativity, 5 social, and 5 knowledge. After that, you add up all the points. Whoever has the most points wins. Next up is the community expansion. It's going to add a 5th player, a gray player, to the game. It's also going to give you little player aids for the community expansion and the entire game for the gray player, but little player aids to tell you how the community works. You'd set this board on the side of the main board, and you're going to shuffle these community cards here, and you're going to deal one out across the track. Now, the game also comes with these meeples of that person's color, and this one I'm just playing with these 3 players, and of course extra cubes that you would put on the popularity track here. It would start at 0. Now, every round you can put one of your little meeples on one of these projects, and basically sometimes you don't have to pay a price. Sometimes you have to have certain requirements, like this one, to do a big project at work. You have to have a job, duh. Or this one, maybe you can enter in a contest and pay $1. Whatever you do, if you notice, a lot of times you're going to get one of these. What that means is you go up 1 on the popularity track there. And then depending from there on out, you can do any of these that you want to. You can jump to anywhere you want and then get that thing. So maybe I come down here, I go down 1 on short-term happiness, but I get $1. Or maybe I want to spend 2 creativity, get $3, or 4 creativity, get $4, and another popularity marker. Now, you can do as many of these as you want to as you have popularity. So if I have more popularity, maybe I put one of my timepieces on it and complete another community project, and we might, pay the cost and do whatever I need to. Some of them, of course, a lot of them are giving you, like working overtime, to give you 2 popularity. If you did really well, wow, you'd really be soaring up in popularity. So people are taking advantages of certain, items here, tracks, stuff they can do, and they're shooting up in their popularity, as you see here. And at the end of the round, what happens is, first off, this last one, it gets thrown away even if it wasn't even played upon. So no one played on it, still gets chunked away. And then any one that's been completed get removed. And then you will deal out more community cards. Well, you'd slide this one down. In this case, slide that one down, and then deal out more for the next round. And of course, these will give you more community opportunities to get involved and get this short-term popularity. What does popularity do? Well, at the end of every round, if you see gray and red are on the 1, so they'll get 1 long-term happiness on the main board. Yellow made it up to 3. They're going to get 3 basically victory points, long-term happiness. And then once that's done, everyone goes back down to 0 again, and then they try to participate in their community to get more popularity, to get more points. Just an extra way to get more points in the game. Now, the game also comes with extra child traits, partners, jobs, items, and projects as well. Next, I want to talk about some of the Kickstarter promos that you can get on Artipia Games' website. The first one right here is the Kickstarter 1 edition. This is Kickstarter 2 edition. As you can see, they both come with extra life goals, partners, child traits, activities, and items that you can add to the base game. But the unique things that each Kickstarter promo pack has is the first one has these trends. What trends are is you would deal out 3 of these every round and flip them over, and it'll say, hey, these are the popular activities or projects you can be working on. Now, believe it or not, even in the base game, all of your projects actually have a letter there to depict what it is signifying. A, H, B, C. Those are just a few of them, but you can have more too. Arts is B, B is business, C is culture. If it has an H by it, it's health, politics, social, and technology and science. Now, whoever's spending the most time during that round, they're going to get some extra victory points if they can say, hey, you know what? I spent a lot of time working on the arts. I had a project in the arts. I spent 3 time working on it. Good. You're going to get some additional victory points. Now, at the end of the round, these will be reshuffled, and 3 more trends will come out. Pretty neat. The second thing in the first Kickstarter promo pack are these events. As you know, what this is going to be, this is basically just flip one over. It's going to either be a good event, which is highlighted in green, or a bad event, highlighted in orange. However, there are ways you can prevent these things by doing certain things. But anyway, you're going to shuffle this deck, deal one of them out every round, and either suffer the consequences or hey, suffer some of the profit there, whatever it is. So those are just event cards there. Now, in the Kickstarter 2 pack, there are 2 neat things that they have here. First off, I want to talk about this one. This is items. These are pets. here. Basically, you spend money one time to buy a pet, and then they will eventually die, as you see, and you have to move them up every round. So I pay it here, then they move up to a level 1. Then you move here, and then you have to pay 1 coin to move it to level 3. You get a victory point. Then the third one, they die. Goodbye, friend. You get a short-term happiness and some victory points. Spiders don't live long at all. It looks like they'll die the next year or next age, and you'll get that. So that's kind of how it goes. Basically, just an extra way to get extra victory points short-term and have a few pets. Like, who doesn't want pet piranhas? I love that. That's awesome. Another thing cool about the second Kickstarter, it comes with friends. Now, this is really neat. What you're going to do is you're going to deal out friends in between players, which means if it's a 2-player game, you're only dealing out 1. In a 3-player game, you deal them out in between those friends. So player 1 and 2 would have 1, players 2 and 3 would have 1, and player 3 and 1 would have 1. And what they are, they're friends who will give you certain benefits here. So for instance, anyone places a timepiece on him, spends times with him, he'll give you 2 social and 2 coin. Or maybe this person will give you two of those each. Or he'll give you 4 smartness. Or she'll give you, she's very popular, you get 4 social every time you put a timepiece there. When you put timepieces there, and by the way, just like all projects, if you put more than 1 timepiece on it, it doesn't count for a stress. But if you put more timepieces on here, you also get to move, there's going to be a black little cube marker here. It's going to move it close to you. If this is first player, let's say this is second player or third player. And every time you place a time token, you'll shift it. It's like a tug of war. Because at the end of the round, everyone, whenever they put a timepiece there, will gain that. But at the end of the round, whoever spent the most time with that person also gets 1 or 2 victory points, or none. If no one used her or they spent enough time with her, then she doesn't pick a friend. And they're all like that. So it's just a little neat extra way to get victory points. The last thing are there's some promo cards on the Boardgame Geek store you can get. 3 of them are just project cards, and 1 is an extra thing for the community expansion, and you can all get these on the Boardgame Geek store. And those are all the promos. Final thoughts, what do I think about the games? Well, to be honest, I've been looking at these games for well over a year now, and the art turned me off. That's right, I hate the art. I think the art on these is awful. A lot of people like them, but I really think it looks cheap, and the game doesn't look that good. And sadly, it was the artwork that turned me away from looking at this game very deeply. I'd start watching a video about what it was all about, and I looked over and I kept looking at that art and went, oh, it's ugly. And I just lost interest. But I kept hearing about the gameplay. I heard it was like Life, the basic game, the old classic game of Life. This is the Euro version of it. And I was like, well, that interests me. I really hate the art. So, is the game that good? Actually, yeah, it's good. I can overlook the art. I mean, it's not like it's a killer. I mean, I have a lot of ugly games in my collection where the art's not really that good, but the game's really good, so I'll take it. Orleans, anyone? I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's shame on me for letting the artwork get in the way of getting such a great game. Yes, I think it's a great game. In fact, as of this video, they just wrapped up another Kickstarter for an expansion called Experiences, which I went ahead and backed because, hey, I love the game. I can always do with more. There's a lot of choices. It feels like the game of life. Getting married, starting a family, having a job is going to eat away at your time. You won't get to do as many things as you want to. Sometimes you do these healthy things just to live a little bit longer, but also to have that one extra time capsule. I was very fortunate to have 2 of those hearts, complete 2 of them early in the game, and I did live to see past my 90s, which was amazing. I didn't think you could do that, but oh, that last turn was sad. I didn't have many options to do. I was still holding down my job. I couldn't retire, which really hurt me, but it was very interesting. Now, inheritance points at the end do make a big deal. A lot of these games are very close, and like me and my buddy, we had a game where I was beating him by about 4 points, but he had tons of resources left over, and his inheritance etched out a victory over me by like 1 or 2 points. I was like, oh my gosh, that was the first game we played, so we knew we loved it. Should you get the expansion community? Yes and no. You don't need it. You can have a great time just with the base game. But this one does open up more available. It's not going to blow out the scoring track, adding community. It does add for an extra option. Since you have that additional meeple, I'm glad they gave you that. If they were giving you an extra timepiece, you probably wouldn't use this. That meeple can only be used for the community track, and you will use it for that community track. And then maybe some more time later on, because as you see, the community is like, oh, well, I can get more victory points that way. If I up my popularity just one more, I can get 3 victory points at the end of that round. So for that reason, it is nice to have extra choices, or to have that one extra meeple in the community. We found out you're looking at the community that way a little bit more when you need, but do you need it for the base game? Let me get that out of the way. No, you don't need this. It's not a must with every game. I'll be adding it to the game because it can't hurt. What about the other stuff? First off, the Boardgame Geek Store exclusive, promo cards. You can keep them if you want. You can take them or leave them. It doesn't matter to me. I got them because I love the game, but we haven't shuffled them in there yet. I'm going to. I was just waiting for this review because once I shuffle them in, I was not going to look through the deck to find these cards, but they're okay. I should mention for community, getting that 5th player is nice. I always like when I can play 5 players, because a lot of times I have to cut down my gaming group to 4, and that sucks. So any 5-player games are very welcome. When it comes to the promo decks, they're the 2 promo Kickstarter packs is what they're called. You can get these on our Olympia Games website. Please allow 6 full weeks and not a day sooner for them to come in. I mean, the last day of the 45 days I had to wait, these things came in. They are so slow getting in. I like them. I do. The trends are nice. It's an easy way to get quick points. The event cards, I haven't played with them yet. With event cards, it's like, if they weren't part of the base game, I don't want to play with them. And then when I end up putting them in, I know I'm going to love them. Love them and hate them. So we will eventually start adding event games in here, the event deck in here, and I'm sure it'll be fun when that comes out. The next one, the second Kickstarter deck with the pets, I think it's funny. Nothing much other than that. Pets, I don't care. Friends, I do care about, because as you're playing the friends, you kind of forget about it, but if you can put one time on there and someone's trying to complete projects, they may forget about this friend, giving you 2 easy victory points and some good resources. And I'm glad they gave you just resources on top of victory points, because victory points alone, no one would use the Friends expansion, but you add those extra resources in it, and yeah, it makes sense that you would put it there. So for that, yeah, those are both good. Should you get them? You don't need them, but like I said, all the extra cards that come with it would actually make this game even more unique. And that's the fun thing. After the game's all over, you look through all your cards, regardless of the life goals. You look through all your cards and you go, look at the life I had. And that's kind of neat. So overall, base game, you should definitely pick up. I think it's a great game. Any of the expansions that you want to pick up, like I said, all my expansions fit in very neatly inside this box. And I may try to fit everything in the big box. I think it may be able to. But anyway, the other expansions, good to have, but not a must-have. All right, gamers, that's all the time I have for now. Until next time, you know what to do. Game on!